Hi. Hello everyone, welcome back to these sessions. Today I'm very honored to present Dawid Urban. He is an experienced technical leader and full stack developer. Currently, he is front-end developer for Caraway. He is also an author for a YouTube channel, WordPress in Polish, as well as being an active member of the WordPress community. You will see him very often speaking actively in conferences and many WordPress-related topics. Today, he will share a presentation about building custom user interfaces with WordPress components. So let's give him a very big applause and welcome Dawid.
Hello everyone. Nice to be here. First time in Vienna. Second time in Vienna. First time speaking on WordCamp here in Austria. Super happy about it. Let's talk about WordPress components. Let's go right into it. My name is Dawid Urban. Already nicely introduced. I work at Caraway, but it's not about me. It's about WordPress components. So I don't know about you, but I don't like when WordPress admin area is cluttered with UI that doesn't fit into WordPress itself. But sometimes when you create a feature or you want to extend WordPress with a new feature that requires an interface, you're forced to do it. And this is an example of advanced custom fields. And of course, the actions that you make while interacting with the plugin, they don't make sense when you think about how to add these fields within what WordPress gives you. Would be very difficult and awkward. But when you have custom UI, it's nice, it's smooth, it's quick, you can add things. And while ACF is fully custom UI, it fits quite nicely in WordPress, but it's still not the WordPress way. It's just custom. That just looks really nice. But there are words, stuff like this, random one I picked from the internet. This pattern is also pretty common when you have like settings page. On the left you have these categories, on the right you have fields that are not even like input fields from WordPress. They are just like custom made and everything is custom. It doesn't blend with WordPress. And I can go even worse. I picked this random one from Google, and it's insane how this looks like. It doesn't fit at all. And WordPress dashboard is not the prettiest one, arguably. But even if you add something like this, it doesn't look very nice. And this will be an issue, especially when we move away from current admin, because at some point in the future, there will be no current admin screen. Everything will be within the site editor. What we see in the full site editing, this is what's going to be a WordPress admin in the future. So imagine putting the last example I showed you with these analytics into the right portion here. This will be looking 10 times worse even. So how are we go about it? How can we make nice interfaces with WordPress when we create our own features, our own plugins? If there would be only something in WordPress, if there would be only something, some standard, some set of tools or some set of components that WordPress will give us, that would be nice, yeah? So we can actually utilize them and build those interfaces. And we have it, fortunately, it's Gutenberg. So, nice example of how it's being utilized is WooCommerce. Of course, WooCommerce is being owned by Automatic, so they are using whatever they built to enhance these interfaces for adding products, reporting, and stuff like this. And this blends more nicely within WordPress admin area. And this is also future-proof, because if we put this or this in this full-site editing experience, it's going to be nice, it's going to blend in nicely, and it's going to feel good, feel like a native WordPress thing. But Gutenberg as a base, as I told you already, but it's written in JavaScript. It uses React. So how do we utilize these things to our advantage? If we talk about JavaScript, we also always talk about NPM, which is Node Package Manager. And fortunately, Automatic team and Gutenberg team, they create and maintain NPM packages for almost everything. NPM organization page, npm.js.com/org/WordPress shows over 100 packages on NPM, and the one that we will be interested in more in particular in this talk, but not only, is WordPress/components. So if we look at our Gutenberg, let's focus on the right top portion, the highlighted one. And if we zoom in, all of these items, buttons, links, icons, they are the drop-downs, the three dots, they are all components, and we are React components to add. For anyone who works with Gutenberg and custom blocks development and even extending Gutenberg, this is pretty basic, it's okay, but we'll get there. Everything, if you look around the Gutenberg, is a WordPress component. So how to get idea what can be used? Of course, you see the number of components is huge. It's like 200 components right now already. It's like buttons, button groups, selects, ranges, sliders, inputs, color pickers, date pickers, and you name it, drop-downs, dialogues, whatever. The information to find all of these components and their documentation is nicely put together in a storybook instance that also Gutenberg team maintains. It's under this URL, WordPress GitHub/Gutenberg, and every single component is documented here and how to use it. But okay, this is the simplest component you can find there. It's even like on the homepage, explain the button component. Yeah, something that you can display and you have a nice button. But when you develop custom docs, it's really simple how to do it because it's in the docs. You just run a command, you have docs scaffolded, you run the npm run dev, and you just add whatever packages you need, components, whatever, and you are good to go. It's pretty simple because it's like the natural flow, and they teach you how to do it in the docs. But when you create your custom plugin, it's not so obvious. How do I use it? It's React app, what to do. So in this presentation, I'm going to go with you, and we will build something from scratch. There will be some code. I usually don't put too much code in my presentations. This one, since I want to give you a practical guide, I will add some code, but don't worry. At the end of this, there will be a QR code to GitHub for the full code if any one of you is interested. So no need to like making photos or anything like this. Also, there will be a link to Playground where I will show you some mini app that I created for this presentation, and you will be able to just play around with it on your phone as we speak today. So some of this stuff will be super basic. If you create the plugins, it's going to be simple. And we start with an empty plugin, we just define some constants, and we have our plugin created. So this is step one. Step two is, of course, we need to have some sort of like a page where we can put this custom UI. So also super normal, nothing fancy here. We just create register admin page in the admin menu, and we display on this page this empty div with ID to do app. And when we go to our admin, we see that there is a to-do app page added in the admin, and in the content of this page, we have our div of ID to-do app. It's just empty because it has nothing in it. So first step done. But now the React part. In order to use those components, we know we need to use React because Gutenberg uses React. So the simplest way to add this interaction to your app is actually the same way as you do it within Gutenberg development, which is by using WordPress scripts. This is optimized for WordPress development, so let's just install this package and let's see what happens. So as we can see in our package.json, our WordPress script is installed, but what we will do is we will also add some stuff to this package.json file. Let's add two scripts, build and start. And what this does, it uses the freshly installed WordPress scripts package here. That would be the scripts build and start. This is very similar to what you do when you develop custom Gutenberg blocks. And now let's start writing code. So this is very simple. what we do is we grab an element of ID to do up. We already saw we added it to the page. Just like sanity check if there is one. And if there is one, we just add to it, create root on it, and we render this mysterious app that we imported from some other file. And this mysterious app is the simplest React app I can imagine. So this is one component, and it returns just a simple string hello world, which is a valid React node. And when we do this, and then we go, oh, let's first maybe inspect also our structure now. We have to do app PHP. You saw this at the beginning, the empty plugin file with constants. We have package.json that we already saw. We added scripts to it. We have index.js file that I just showed you, where we initialize the React app within our div. And we have this super simple app JSX. So when we have this, and we go to our terminal and we run the script that we added, build, by running npm run build, what it does, it will split out this output. And this is the same output as you see when you work with custom blocks development, because it's the same tooling. So once we've done this, we have a new folder build, where we have index.js. This is all the code bundled. The one we have in the index.js and app.js X in one file, and then we have also this index asset PHP. This is the same as you have in the Gutenberg blocks setup. And let's go into this file, this asset PHP. This basically gives us a dynamic dependencies array that we can put into our WP and Q scripts. So whenever we do any changes to this, we'll get to this in the future, this will automatically change and we don't have to worry about adding any dependencies to our scripts, because this will be all updated for us by the WordPress scripts package. So yet another code, but this is also super simple for anyone building plugins in the past. We just enqueue script only on a page where our to-do app will live, and we just enqueue this build file we have. Very simple, nothing fancy. And then dependencies, we just grab dynamically from this file that we import that will be updated every single time. So for now, pretty simple, nothing fancy, it's easy. But when I go back to my admin, I see it's working. We have a React app now in our admin area. So now we have this step of, oh, I don't know what to do with it. How do I use these components behind us? Because now when I go back to my code and I grab this button from the docs, and I will first install this npm install WordPress components package that I just showed you at the beginning, and go back to my code, and instead of just returning hello world, I import this button as the doc says, and I will go back, running build first. By the way, I can also run this npm run start, same as with Gutenberg blocks, but for this presentation I'm going to be building. And I have the button, click, yeah? So we just imported the component, we used it, and it's fine. But if we go back to our index asset PHP, since we imported something from this WordPress components package, it added this dependency WP component, so our script will always be enqueued after all of those dependencies, so everything will work nicely out of the box. One thing you may notice is that this button is ugly. It doesn't look like the one in the Gutenberg. It's just like unstyled button. So what we do is we also need to enqueue this WP edit blocks script. In this example, this is super simple and simplified, so I'm just enqueuing it. But in most cases, you usually have some sort of like a CSS of your own. So you add this WP edit blocks as dependency of your styles. But in this case, I don't have any custom styles. I just want to enqueue this. And once I do this, my button is nicely styled. And this also good part of this is that when you change the theme, like in the theme settings in the user preferences to like, I don't know, like Rust or something, it's going to change too. It just follows naturally because it's all based on these components, so it's all supported. And that's it. That's it of the presentation. Nah. It will be too simple. So Now I want to go with you and create this thing. So this studio app that we just started working on. The first portion was just like how to basically make it work, how to grab these components and how to put them in our interface. And as you can see, this thing I've built only using WordPress components. This QR code will open a playground if you want to play around. Just see for yourself what it does. It will just do what it says as a normal to-do app does. It will add, remove, mark as complete, edit, and stuff like this. It works with WordPress Playground. I don't know if the internet is working here, but if there is, it opens you the app immediately on your phone. Can I go? Yeah, okay, let's do the next one. So my app is a React app. I broke it down in this way. You, of course, when you build your own interface, every interface is different. So you make your own structure, correct? Whatever the UI needs. In my case, what I did is the whole thing is an app component. You saw already the app component. Then I have the header component when I have this app to do and the filters. Then I have to do items. And each to-do item will be a separate component too. Pretty simple stuff, and this is how my custom React components that I decided I'm going to do it this way. You can just, as I said, structure it any way you want. But also we have WordPress components like button component, select control, checkbox control, button group, icon, and more buttons. Yeah, so all of these are WordPress components. That's why it looks kind of like it's a native to WordPress. It is only up to you how you do the rest of the styling, so it doesn't stand out too much. Because as you can see, like this disabled state, like these borders, it's all my invention. So if I would make it even more fitting into WordPress admin, it would be just nice. But I think it's okay this way. What's also important for me for this exercise is that I just want you to ask whatever WordPress gives. So I want these to-do items to be saved and persisted in the database, and I just want them to be posts in a custom post table. And the completed state, just a custom post meta, yeah? Simple. And I told you I like the WordPress way. So in order to make it the WordPress way, I also want to impose some limitations and some rules. I don't want to do any custom REST API endpoints myself. So I don't want to create an endpoint to create to-do item. I don't want to mark it as complete or incomplete. I don't want to remove it. I don't want to edit the to-do item. I don't even want that fetches all the to-do items, and I don't want anything that allows me to filter those items by complete, incomplete. I don't want to do any direct REST API calls. I don't want to have, hey, give me all the to-do items. I want WordPress to do it for me behind the scenes without me doing any more additional work. I just want to register custom post type. I want to register some post meta. That's it. I don't want to do anything else. So if we go back to our app, now we will have some more code, but bear with me. I try to simplify it as much as possible for the sake of this presentation. So we change it from we have now to this. A little bit more code, but what we do is we have our button that was here, but now we have something happening on click of this button. And what we do is we save entity record, post type to do item, and for now, I just hard coded like the type new to do and already that is published in the database. And where the save entity record comes in is coming from use dispatch group, which comes from WordPress data. This is another WordPress npm package. And this is also being used if you create custom Gutenberg blocks. You may have interacted with WordPress data because this is interacting with the Redux setup of WordPress. And what I want to do, I want to use all of the same tools within my app, within my interface. Because I don't want this to be only interface and static. I want literally this to be like a fully working app with persisting in the database, loading data, and interacting with these to-do items. So this has got to be the full thing. So, save entity record, what it does, if you don't know about WordPress data package, it will do two things. Under the hood, when you call it, it will literally call a WordPress REST API for you under the hood, and it will just save entity record calls post endpoint, and then to do item custom post type will call it to this URL for the custom post type, and this payload will be just pushed as data to the REST API endpoint again for us under the hood. And once it's done and everything is saved, there will be a sync with the this global Gutenberg WordPress Redux store. So when it's added, it will be pushed to the store. And this is important because in the next step, we will display those to-do items. So we will use another hook, use entity records, but this comes now from WordPress core data. And this is the thing, the magic thing that will do all the work for us in the background. Because from this hook, we get records, and we just say, hey, post type to the item, and this will give us like all the to-do items. We just look through them, and we just display the title. That's as simple as that. And what use entity records does under the hood when you call it? Yeah, we'll just do get request under the hood. I don't do it manually. I'll just use WordPress data package, a core data in this case. So and get request to the normal REST API of WordPress, and I want post type to do item, so I get the to do item here, yeah, slash to do item, and this will pull these guys and push them to Redux store again under the hood. I don't care about it. And that's important again, because if we put all of this together, both dispatching an action of saving and listing them, since each of these actions, they sync to the Redux store, when I first load, use entity records will fetch it from the database to the API, will save it in the Redux store, and displays them on the first load. And whenever I hit the button, it will run the persisting action by saving through the REST API of this post, and also push to the Redux, so I get full reactivity because I hit the button, it added it to the database, push to the Redux, and this use entity records will say, oh, something was added to the Redux, re-render, and I have new item immediately available in my to-do items list. So how does this look like now? Like this. So whenever I hit the add to do, I will get this new to do hard-coded title every single time. So I hit it, the fifth one will appear. The problem is that I cannot do anything else. I can just add them for now, and they are hard-coded, not ideal. So it would be nice to at least remove them from the list. And what do? I did hit all the other code, but we just use delete entity record from use dispatch, same as we do with save entity record. And we just add new button next to the title, and we'll just delete this entity record of post type to the item with this ID. Because we are looping through them, so we know the idea. And we get the button, and whenever we hit the button, this remove entity record also hits the endpoint under the hood, the delete endpoint for this post type with this ID. When it's done and completed, it will sync the Redux store. So whenever I hit like the remove third, it will just remove it from the list immediately in the UI and from the database. Where if you want to manipulate meta, which is the like completed, uncompleted checkbox, you can do this again with save entity record, the same method. You don't have a special one for updating. What you do is you use save entity record, but you pass ID in the object here. You pass ID and it knows that it has to update it if it exists. So I just have a meta object and I just say, just toggle it back. And I have a checkbox, so when I change this checkbox, I just run this function and it just basically toggles back and forth the completed state. And since we are using again save entity record, it will persist this operation in the database and it will automatically refresh the UI. There's one caveat here, because as far as save entity records accepts meta objects, so you can update meta fields of a post with save entity records, when you try to retrieve them with, again, here with user entity records. This won't support having filtering by meta fields. And this is not really related to the data packages and how Gutenberg works, but it's related to how REST API WP query works. So in the REST API, if you try to call posts endpoint and you want to filter down by some meta fields, you cannot do it because the REST post type query doesn't support metadata. But you can use this filter. And there is a file in the repo and on GitHub that basically just does this. It's very simple. You just apply a filter to it and you say, okay, when this query is being run and I send meta query from user entity records, just support it for me. And you just basically say what should be done to the WP query under the hood. Everything is on GitHub. So, that's basically it. We just reached this state where we have deleting items that are fully interactive and reactive. We have editing with save entity records again. We have filtering by completed and completed. And we have adding and marking as complete. And all of this we've done without any endpoints that we created ourselves, without any custom calls to the REST API. We just gave WordPress instructions what to do, and we utilized whatever Gutenberg and WordPress ecosystem already gives us, which is a lot of stuff if you dig into it. This is the code base. Anyone interested? Scan. Also, you can find it on www.com or just type my name in Google. You'll find it easily. If you forget to scan or you don't want it now, you'll find it easily. And yeah, that's it for real. And you can find it on www.com.
Thank you, David. Thank you for the great presentations. Now, let's open up for questions from the audience. Anyone, any question? Yeah.
So the example you showed is using React. Could you also use something else like, let's say, Vue or another front-end JavaScript framework?
Technically you could, but it's the same question as how to mix multiple frameworks together. If you answer, can I use React components in a Vue app, there's maybe a way. I'm 100% sure there are some people who've done this, but why? The question is, yeah? If everything is based on React in WordPress, I'll stick to React, I'll learn React if you don't know yet, and just whatever the tool, just don't make it more complicated on you than it should be, I would say. But anyway, if you have any questions unrelated to the talk, I'm also open to discussing anything. Okay, no questions? Oh, so I explained it nicely. This means.
No more questions?
Will you share your presentation?
Oh yes, I can. I don't know where would I put it, but I will share it somehow. If you find me on LinkedIn, for example, I will post a I'll make a post on LinkedIn showing this presentation with anyone too. So. Also, if you ever need to reach out to me, try to reach out to me. I'm not very responsive recently because I have a little baby, but if you want to talk to me, give it a shot. Message me like anywhere you want on LinkedIn, wherever you can find me and harass me.
I don't know if I need it. If you would name 3 or 4 core skills to learn to get there, what would it be?
I would, first of all, I would say learn.wordpress.org. That's a fantastic reference. And I know a lot of is being work is being done there to be more friendly towards people who want to learn. That would be my first go-to, and as I said, there's a lot of work being done there to be more like an interactive also experience with WordPress Playground. And second one, I would also recommend just going through on GitHub through Gutenberg source code, because so many ideas in there. What I just showed you, I just got it from browsing through Gutenberg code, because they all do all of this, yeah? They don't call endpoints all the time. They just run it all through the Redux tools they have. And all of this, if you go deep into those WordPress data package, you'll see that how this works basically, yeah? So you call something from the Redux, you want to retrieve it, and it knows that it should run. There are things called resolver functions in the Redux. So it's basically like something similar to like Redux Saga side effects and funcs. I forgot how it was called, but whatever. But it's basically the idea is just you call something from Redux, and WordPress thinks it's from the database, and it's just like, oh, I don't have it, I'm going to call it now. And it only happens once, by the way, because the next time you interact with the UI that actually changes it, it doesn't go through the API loop, it just adds it directly to the Redux, so everything just works nicely. So this is my second go-to, and the third, I think, like YouTubers, WordPress YouTubers like Ryan, I know Ryan Welcher, I think he works also at Automatic, I'm not sure 100%, but yeah, Alex confirming. Hello Alex, by the way. Yeah, so I would also just do this. And any courses, I don't know because I don't use them a lot, so I don't want to recommend like anything in particular. Other than that. Yeah, there was one question. So.
Yes. Yes, thank you. So the last question revolves around how to learn WordPress. So to follow up, will we get actually any certificate if we, for example, complete the track, like for example, the beginner or WordPress user, or intermediate WordPress user, or beginner WordPress developer? Will we get some kind of certificate after completing all the lessons? Thank you.
There's no such a thing like officially. I know there you get some badges on learn.wordpress.org, like some sort of like a completion status, but I know there's no such a thing like standard industry-wise accepted certification for WordPress. So I don't know if there's anything like this, but yeah, what I would say, your work is your certificate. Okay. Whatever you do, put it on GitHub. Don't be shy about it. Talk about it with people. Spam everything you want, everywhere you want. You know, maybe it's gonna be noticed. So anything you do, stupid, small, super small, you just play around, just make it public, make it on GitHub, and this is gonna be nice. Because when I talk to people, or like when I'm involved in like hiring process for WordPress developers, that's all I care. If you have 5 projects, even from 3 years ago, I already know that 3 years ago you were into it. And I saw maybe that's not ideal, but you know, at least I know you're doing something with it. So whatever you put, good or bad, just put it. It's better than not having anything.
Thank you.
Okay, then I have to thank you again, one more time, David, for your amazing presentation. Very useful for all the WordPress community. And I want to give you this WordCamp recognition and appreciation for performing here, for presenting here today.
Thank you.
Let's give you one.